Welcome to the Codecast Podcast. Real-world insights for your daily medical coding and billing processes. And now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Codecast Podcast. My name is Terry Fletcher. We're on episode 39 this week, and this week I'm going to talk about something just a little bit different. I've been asked to kind of step outside the box, and I'm still going to have a coding question at the end. I always have those. But one of the things that I've noticed, and it's funny because I've been really kind of focused on social media lately, just with building some of the platforms that I'm dealing with my business, but also a new podcast that I started that's called The Bun Life. I'm doing this with my friend Corinne Briley, and it's more on two working moms. She's got small kids. I have adult children, and as you guys know, and just the funniness and humorous part of life, trying to balance all of that with being a professional working mom. Both of us are. But what's funny about that is we really have been looking at social media and how to, boost your presence and where you put things and things like that. And then I started looking at it from a perspective of the medical practice and how medical practices are making so many mistakes when it comes to social media and not really anticipating what's out there and what's happening. And so what I want to do is really just kind of hope to help you maybe stop making some of those mistakes and give you some insight as far as what it can do to not only hurt your practice, but how to turn it around. And you can't ignore it. You just can't ignore it. Social media is there. I've seen people that basically get on their phone to look at something on Facebook or Instagram, and all of a sudden that's where they are for the next 2 hours. And it's just crazy to me how people are just really so, engaged in the social media prospect. So I know it's sometimes I'll be, I'll get up in the morning, grab my coffee, and I have to get in my office at a certain time. And all of a sudden I'll be like, oh shoot, that was a long hour as I'm messing around on some things. So we just want to make sure we're understanding how that fits into your practice, if it fits into your practice, and just having a social media profile is just not enough. So we really want to just talk about that from a medical perspective. I always keep it medical, as you know, because this is the Codecast Podcast, and we do really focus on that medical practice, not just with coding and reimbursement, but compliance management. And we've got outside the box with everything, and audits, but it's really where you can come for the business of medicine and taking your practice to that next level. But first, I want to introduce two new sponsors to our Codecast podcast. One is Keck Medicine of USC. Keck Medicine, 500 internationally renowned doctors at a leading academic medical center, keeping you healthy, on track, and doing the things that you love. KeckMedicine.org. And Provider LT provides locum tenens, is a physician-focused healthcare staffing firm, providing physicians a direct connection to healthcare employers and facilities. ProvideLT.com. So we welcome them to our slew of supporters right now. We really appreciate that. And if anybody wants to be a sponsor on our show, please either email me at terryfletchercpc@aol.com, or feel free to direct message me on Instagram at terrynca, or you can find me on Twitter at terrycoder1. So again, with social media, I'm on there, so we just definitely want to find you there. Okay, so here's some mistakes that I'm seeing, and again, just social media for the physician practice. It's not enough just to have a presence. You want to make sure that you're increasing your search results, boosting your reviews, drawing in new leads, targeting your ideal patients for unique high revenue services. You want to make sure that you're increasing your brand awareness. I've never been more aware of that word brand than I have in the last year. And there's just so much more out there. And social media is, for the most part, low cost. I'm not saying that you can't find pretty inexpensive, or I should say reasonable, ads to put out there. But when you're looking at this information, a lot of it is free, and so as far as just posting and making sure it looks right. And then you have to make sure that you do what you need to do to make it more professional. So first of all, medical practice is a business, as you know. And like any other businesses, customer satisfaction is a key component to a successful business. So more than 40% of consumers say that information found via social media affects the way they deal with their health. So an inactive profile can be detrimental to your practice. Patients and potential patients who receive out-of-date information, or a practice that doesn't acknowledge or respond to online users. So if a patient were to call the practice, would you wait 6 months to respond to them? Well, of course you wouldn't. So the same rule applies to social media, and a stagnant profile can reflect a subpar customer experience. And the other thing I have found is that sometimes, and I'll blame this on LinkedIn, that's a professional website. It's kind of like a Facebook for professional people for work. And I post on there, I post my Codecast podcast every week. That could be how you found it. But it's a work profile, social media platform. But it's just, they created it and I didn't create it. I mean, it was just all of a sudden they're like, you're on LinkedIn and you're getting followers. I'm like, when did that happen? Now that was 6-7 years ago, but now, I have the premium service and it's just been something that you build, but there's a lot of things that are just created for you based on your search handle. So think about it. How many times, let's just say that you decided you wanted to take a trip to, let's say I'm in California, say I want to go to Arizona, and I booked a flight on American Airlines. What do you think is the ad I see for the next week? Every time I pull up my email or an account or pull up my computer or I'm on the internet, oh my gosh, American Airlines. It's amazing to me. It's almost like somebody's stalking you. So you might want to this is where I want you to really expand what's going on. And you almost need a full-time person to look at this if you're a practice over 5 physicians. Your practice could have Facebook locations, patient pages that you didn't even know about. So especially if you're a multi-location practice with only one main Facebook page. So a case in point, an orthopedic practice with 8 locations in a greater Atlanta area created a Facebook page years and years ago for its original main location and never looked back at it. In that time period, did anyone ever check on it? Or, did each of their locations basically do anything? Well, Facebook actually automatically creates a location page and autofills that page with any information they find on the internet, true, false, or outdated. And so now that has created something where people can now start leaving reviews whether you know it or not. And that's a problem because you're like, wait, I didn't even create that page. The next thing you want to keep in mind is not all platforms are for you. So really, does the shoe fit? And how do I know what the right social media platform for my medical practice is? So sometimes doctors tend to blanket media universe and have all the possible profiles thinking the more the merrier. That's not the case for several reasons. So first of all, 2 reasons in particular. You have now multiplied your problems with stagnant profiles, incorrect formats, wrong information, and there's no posting strategy or bad posts out there. And then not all profiles are for you. You want to know who your target audience is that your practice services and correlate that with the platforms that align with the best, what you can do with the best social media site. So different sites have different demographics and you want to know the profiles. So pick the sites that best fit your demographic. Otherwise, the rest are just wasting your time, resources, and money. For example, for my business, I'm not on Facebook. I don't even like it for personal stuff. My husband is, my daughter kind of is. She said, whenever she posts to Instagram, it double posts. It posted on both. Facebook to me is a little bit invasive, and it's really for friends and family. To me, I don't see it too much for a business, but I have noticed for medical practices, it could be. So for example, I'm just going to throw out a couple of percentages here that came from a Google Media platform search that I did. So Facebook, basically men and women ages 18 to 29, it says that they're about 67% on Facebook. So men more than women, believe it or not. Instagram is about 59%, but for regular businesses, Instagram is a little bit higher at 71%. And then 30 to 49 years of age, Facebook is 79%, and Instagram actually goes down a little bit, actually a lot, to 31%. Women are higher on Instagram than men are. And then if you want to really go, then it goes into, you can actually find something that talks about high school or less, some college graduates, and then it goes into income brackets. You can find if you're in the $30,000 range, 30 to 50, 50 to 75, and then 75 or higher. And it's interesting because once you get in the higher ranges of income, it shows that you actually go across a little bit more, you're more selective in your social media program. So, and campaign, I should say. So then there's urban, suburban, rural. It's kind of an interesting statistical look, just who has what. I would have thought Twitter had a pretty high reach because I get a lot of my news off that. I actually have a couple of accounts. I actually do I'm really involved in sports writing, and my Pittsburgh Steelers, as for some of you that know me, they're important to me. And so I do write some articles for a site called Steel City Underground. And so I engage a lot on one of my Twitter feeds. And then I also have my work Twitter, which that basically I'm posting not just my podcasts, but I'm designing waiting rooms, so I post some of those up there for practices. And then I also post some interesting articles that I feel that people need to see in regard to healthcare. So I keep that a very conservative approach. My other one, you can see me ranting about who knows what. So you may not want to look up that for me, but unless you want to laugh. I saw something today that I shared actually with my music producer, Dissassin, where IHOP, that changed their name to IHOB, is now back to IHOP again. They're like, oh, we were just testing it out. Yeah, sure you were. You realize that was just really stupid. So anyway, you could just see that, everybody finds out things from a social media platform. And number 3 means really not responding to negative reviews. So, negative reviews are tough for anyone. As you know, I'm an educator out there, not just on coding and billing, but on documentation and compliance and everything. And so I do seminars and webinars and I speak at a lot of conferences, and we get reviews. We either get comment sheets, or I'm asking you a lot of time to review my podcast, and you can go to iTunes and do that. And I have, oh my gosh, you want to hurt my ego? Give me a bad review. And I don't even like to see good. I want to see great, because if it's not great, then I'm not doing enough for you. And so, but bad reviews are about to happen. You might just find somebody that maybe they just didn't have a good day that day, or they just didn't like how you wore your hair, or, maybe the doctor was having a bad day, and maybe their bedside manner just didn't, personality conflict or something. It has not always to do with patient care, but a lot of times the reviews have to do with the first time they walk in the office, which is interesting in itself, because then that reflects on the staff. And so sometimes I'm seeing that. And so it's interesting when you kind of look at that perspective, because it's never good to get a bad review, but it's worse to ignore it. So the fact is, people are more likely to write a negative review than a positive one. And this is an opportunity for you to turn lemons into lemonade. If a negative review is posted, respond immediately. And there is proper protocol to that when responding. In fact, people surveyed on just where I pulled this information together, 70% of people who write a negative review are hoping to receive a response. When you respond to a negative comment, this shows your professionalism and care for patient satisfaction to your social media visitors. And actually, it's funny, because I had a lot of respect for my team and my partnerships, or people that work with me. And I saw a negative review on something with one of my professional partners. And I asked him, I said, God, I would have just deleted that. And it just bugged me because it was unfounded and uncalled for. And he said, no, he said, thanks for responding. We appreciate your comments. And that's all he said. Now, in that scenario, that was definitely appropriate. But and I was just like, well, you are a bigger person than I am, because I'd be kicking dirt. But then it kind of get me thinking, saying, okay, well, everybody is entitled to their opinion. Obviously, nowadays in the political and sensitivity climate we're in, nobody wants to even give their opinion anymore because of the haters out there. And so when you get that negative review, respond to it. See if there's something, thank you for your comment. And we will definitely look into that, and we appreciate you bringing this to our attention. And something like that can just really, and always say you're sorry. Just even if you don't feel that it's your fault, just say it. People just appreciate the comment. The one thing you don't want to do is giving medical advice. That's a big no-no. You cannot give a person medical advice on your social media site. It's a tool to connect with patients and share health information from a generic sense. But do not forget, your medical practice is a professional profile. As a healthcare professional, you do not treat, diagnose, or give medical advice via social media. If a patient asks you for medical advice, respond accordingly to HIPAA, regulation, and law. Always better to err on the side of caution and invite them to make an appointment. Not regularly posting. So your social media is there to educate, interact, and build new and existing customer loyalty. So if you want your patients and potential patients to keep visiting your social media profile and website, then make sure you keep posting on a consistent basis. So by providing your online users with new content regularly, they're more likely to engage, share, and become your brand ambassador. You have only seconds to grab even a loyal customer's attention. The way you make sure you continue to do so time and time again is to deliver something of value consistently and where your customers want it. That's what I try to do by bringing this to you every week. I'm consistent on Tuesdays. I try to mix it up a bit where one week is really focused on coding, the next week maybe auditing, and for example, this week we're really focused on some management options that still focus on medical. So you want to create that content, that killer piece of content, to really leverage your social media profile and distribute it to the masses. Now, this might offend somebody, and I apologize if it does, but a social media faux pas, is something called, and I see this most commonly referred to as the used car salesman. Now, follow me on this, okay? The used car salesman simply means don't oversell. You don't want to be pushy or cheap when it comes to healthcare. Don't abuse your social media audience present and cheapen your posting by constantly selling your brand. As I said before, regular posting is essential, but keep it engaging. Don't ram it down, your practice down their throats. For example, one thing that really bugs me is I will get these followers that usually are from like Herbalife or from Jenny Craig or these diet places that all of a sudden will be like, oh, you know what? They follow you and then they DM you, they direct message you and say, if you promote our service, we'll do this and this, and they won't stop. If I wanted your service, I would absolutely engage your service. That's why I was looking at social media. I'm happy for the follow, but don't shove it down my throat. So always keep this in mind. When in doubt, follow the 80-20 social media rule. This is the marketing rule. 80% of the time, post information focused on adding value to your followers, how-tos, tips, guides, education, etc. And the other 20% is the hard ask about converting them to patients. There's always a give and take with any relationship, and social media is no different. So not posting original content, and this one is hard. I struggle with this sometimes. So great, you've created a social media account or accounts, gained a large audience, posted regularly, you're engaged with your users, all to drive them to a competitor's website. That's a fail. So it's not just enough to post regularly. Basically, when you're looking at this, you need to provide your audience with original content. So when they click the link, they're taken right back to the source, your website. 60% of social media users are most likely to trust social media posts and activity by doctors over any other group. At the end of the day, you're trying to generate new business with original content like blogs or Q&As so that you can attract them to convert. And then SEO setup. So that's your search engine optimization. Backlinks are an important part of any successful strategy for medical practices. And it's reported that practices with an active blog receive 97% more inbound links. So basically they're finding you. And then not posting in the proper format. So social media is all about judging a book by its cover. Pretty sad, but it's true. I always laugh at this because I have some friends that basically, if you look at their social media life, you're like, I want that life. And then you talk to them personally and they're like, oh, it's not what you think. And so I kind of laugh at that. I'm just like, oh, it's not this beautiful white picket fence, everything's perfect life. They're like, no, we caught on photos what we really wanted people to see. So this is where you want to make sure your format is correct and you're consistent. Study shows that a post that has wrong visuals and proper link formatting has significantly higher click-through rates. So it's about imagery when posting it. And you just want to, or strong visuals, I'm sorry. So you want to make sure that it's all about imaging when posting. And if the posts are missing images or posted through sister sharing sites, it can look a little bit lazy. So if you wouldn't take a photo of your ad in a magazine, and then use that photo in another magazine, you're advertising to say, check out my new ad in another magazine. So be creative and make sure that you're using original information. And then be consistent with your practice brand. we know image is everything when it comes to grabbing your audience attention. Use your social media profile to create your unique practice brand style. So customize photos and graphics for posting by using templates with your logo. Not only does this customize your message, but it's a great way to keep brand consistency if the photos are shared. That all leads back to your practice. I have one primary care provider. He actually used to be my physician, and he's since retired, but he was very much into ocean graphics and just the beach, but really into wildlife in the ocean. And anything he put up on his wall, and you see it everywhere, in the waiting room, in the exam rooms, everywhere, always still had his logo on it. So it was kind of nice. You just knew that was, and so whenever I saw it, I live in the Laguna Beach area, I was always like, it just looks like his outfit. And it always kind of struck with me in my head that, wow, that's kind of him. And then not sharing or connecting with friends. So you don't want to be antisocial on social media. Social media means social. So always follow and connect. Not everybody, make sure you check out their website first. Don't forget to post and tag and like, comment, and share your followers and friends' content as well. If you like it, or let's say they're seeing something to your blog, or they're asking a question, or you have a follower and all of a sudden you're, maybe the person that's doing your social media site saw a local, good restaurant that they were at and they posted a nice family photo, share it and say, it's great to see our patients out and about. Make sure you ask first, because sometimes, that's weird, but just make sure it's okay. And they usually are like, yeah, put it up there. Because one of the things I really like to see on websites for physician practices is the area, because then when people are coming new to the area, they can say, oh, okay, so their patients look happy and there's a restaurant we haven't tried yet. And it just kind of spreads the love. Okay. So you want to really look at that. Ignoring Facebook's advertising platform. So when Facebook became a publicly traded company, it became the first priority for them to increase stock price and protect shareholder wealth. So the way they chose to monetize a large portion of the business side of their platform was through paid advertising. So the only way to strongly encourage businesses to utilize that platform is to drastically reduce your organic reach to your medical practice audience. So what an organic reach is when you post something to your business page and people see it on their newsfeed without paying to boost the post. So organic reach has been reported to have dropped almost as low as 2% in recent months. So what that means is that if you have 100 likes, let's say, and put a post up, an average of only 20 people will see it organically. So therefore, it has become critical to have a monthly advertising budget involved in your regular social media strategy outside of lead generations to ensure you grow regularly. So one part of that budget should be focused on consistent like growth for your page, and then the other used to boost maybe posts for increased engagement, but just stay away from those fake accounts. Forget routine maintenance. The beauty of the digital world is that it's ever-changing flow of news and information, and make sure you're on top of it. Social media sites are always updating and adding new features to help optimize business profiles. Make sure you know the best way to effectively promote your profile. And like with all aspects of business, it's crucial your information is up to date, especially contact information. So social media can't read your mind. You want to make sure all the information and links lead straight back to you. I was actually just speaking recently with a colleague about this, or actually I think I emailed him. But always check your website as well. I noticed just last week on my website that at the bottom of my page, it didn't have my Instagram. And then on one of my other pages, I think it was my blog site, it said 2017. That should be updated to 18. And your website person isn't always going to know that, or they're on top of some of it. But remember, your website host or person that designed it for you, they basically get you up and running, and they expect you to feed them what you need to update because they have other clients as well. So you just want to make sure that you are really being mindful of that update. And then not optimizing your profiles. So social media is a powerful marketing tool that most doctors are not utilizing. Your profiles all have unique components to help market your business. So understanding the tools embedded in your profiles and customizing them to your practice and audience will increase your organic search impressions, clicks, and ultimately conversions. So generally, your Facebook and Twitter profiles will be in your top brand-specific search results, so make sure they're properly optimized. And then forgetting to track and analyze some of these marketing efforts you really want to know your numbers. Just like any marketing effort, you should track your efforts and develop a strategy, set up analytics for your profiles to measure the value of your social media that it's bringing. And these analytics will really compass you to navigate your strategy. And so you can see what's working, what's not. And if you find that, maybe you don't need to be on Twitter, you only need to be on Facebook, or Facebook is kind of driving you crazy, you just want to be on Instagram, this is where it gives you that profile customization and your audience. There's no magic pill for social media marketing, but there are tested and proven tactics that can be backed up by analytics. So this doesn't mean everyone will work for your practice, but the proof is really in the data. So you just want to know what's working, and then what you need to do to crank it up for that can continue to work. And so social media is one of the best tools out there when it comes to healthcare marketing, strategies for medical or dental practices, and it's important to understand the ins and outs of utilizing your social media. There's much social media effort that most users are not even aware of or have the skill set to execute on. So in my experience, most doctors and dentists know they need it, but they don't really see the value. And so the reason practitioners feel that way is because they're doing it all wrong. This happens because there's an account manager who is familiar with social media, but is not a marketing professional and lacks the skill set. And so this is where some of the common social media mistakes can be. So you definitely want to make sure you have a marketing professional that is experienced not only in social media, but the science of social media. And that's why I surround myself with people that really have extensive knowledge, data, experience, and efficiency in that. And so there's a couple of different options you have when looking to make sure that you can build a good campaign out there. What I'm going to ask you to do just to make sure that you get the right for yours, if you really want to know how to get that right person, feel free to direct message me. Make sure you email me, and I've got some options for you and also some references. So more than happy to send you to the right person, the right site. And so you can really build your business on this. I think that's going to be important. And our last sponsor today is going to be, I'm going to have our Bun Life podcast sponsor our site, and then we may sponsor them as well. So that's just, again, it's going to be the Bun. You can actually follow us on Instagram at the Bun Life. Let me see, what is my Instagram on that? I always forget. It's funny because have you ever tried to get to something that just was the one word, and then you're like, okay, that didn't come up right. And then somebody else took it. So we just want to make sure we have the right thing. The Bun Life Official, and that's at Instagram, and that's also our website, thebunlifeofficial.com. And then our podcast is going to air in August, and it's going to be called the Bun Life Podcast. And so we hope you find us on different platforms, but that we really hope you find that. So what that means basically is my friend Corinne, she basically said, you know what, how many times you just put our hair up in a messy bun just to get things done, because we're busy moms, professional moms. We've got husbands, and I know some of you have husbands and partners and significant others and kids, whether the kids are 1.5 or the kids are 23, not mentioning any names of my daughter, and they still live at home going to college or whatever. Life can get messy, and you can see just in the podcast, just finding time to record and make sure I'm bringing you a quality product. There's all kinds of things going on with all of us in our busy professional lives. So we just hope you tune into that. And we hope you liked our Codecast podcast today. I really like this topic. I don't know if you know that social media I just love the topic because it's so interesting to me. It's not just about getting on and looking at photos. It's just about how you can really build your brand from this. And it's really kind of excites me just to see where it can go. And so I just want to shout out also to my content producer and somebody who facilitates our Codecast podcast, Joe Kuzma. He actually started a new content marketing podcast as well. I think we're all a little bit obsessed right now with podcasting, but he's also somebody that can help you build your brand when it comes to getting up to get your presence in your platform. So we'll definitely help you with that. If you need us to, just direct message us or email me and we'll take a look at that. So anyway, thank you again for attending today and listening in. And we just really appreciate all the great comments. And if there's a topic that I'm not covering, please let me know. I would just really like to make sure that we kind of appeal to the masses and make sure that everybody's getting what they want. What we're going to try and do now, when we get back to the next one, will be for our Top 10 Tuesday. I try to make that consistent the last Tuesday of every month. And then we're going to get back into some auditing because, oh my gosh, the audits are crazy right now, especially some commercial plans as well. So why coding and documentation audits are more important than ever is going to be something we're going to talk about. And then a little bit of Compliance 101 in the physician's practice. And then we're going to get a little bit into just some of the things that it comes to computer-assisted coding, and then a couple of revenue opportunities. Again, we want to kind of circle back around to that in the not the revenue cycle management, which is the entire compass of that, but we're going to focus maybe on some specific coding collection and appeals. So let me know what you want to hear, and we're happy to address anything on the Codecast podcast. So everybody, make it a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.
For more information on medical coding, billing, auditing, and compliance, including how to hire Terry, follow Terry on Twitter @TerryCoder1 or visit her website at www.terryfletcher.net. Podcast producer Joe Kuzma. Music producer Dassassin Music.